So in the last lesson, we talked a little bit about the recording industry. Now it's time to talk about the live music. Like pretty much everything else in the entertainment industry, the live music industry has its own magazine and website, and its magazine is called Pollstar, spelled Pollstar. And if you want to see what that looks like, um, you can go to Pollstar dot com, Pollstar.com, and you'll get to a page that looks a lot like this. The front page of it is absolutely full of news, and it keeps on going. There's news all over the place. And if you scroll down even further, you'll see one of the things is trending tours. And you'll see that Elton John is currently a trending tour. And then you'll see some of the newest listings that they have. I've not heard of most of these acts, but perhaps you have. A few of them I know. Anyway, Pollstar also has an area that's called Pollstar Pro. And you can't get into that, but I can. And the good thing about that is that it has some charts, some of which you will find very interesting. And what I'm going to show you now is the year to date, actually the last year's charts, the 2018 charts. And I've put them for you, and you'll find them in your next assignment. But the first one that I wanted to show you was the Pollstar 2018 Top 200 North American Tours. Now, we can make that a little bigger and take a look at it. So let me just show you what we have here. This is the rank. This number right here, this is the number amount it grossed in ticket sales in millions. So as you can tell, the Taylor Swift tour in 2018 grossed $277 million. Not sure if that's a record or not, but it's probably pretty darn close. That's really a lot of money. And then over here it has the average ticket price. And you can tell her average was $125. The average tickets sold, she averaged an average of 80,000 tickets per concert. The total tickets sold on the tour were over 2 million. The average gross per show was $10,271,000. And she did 40 shows in 27 cities. That's pretty substantial money right there. And that's just in the U.S. alone. And you can look down the list and you can see Beyonce and Jay-Z did pretty well themselves, as did a few geezer acts, most notably the Eagles and Kenny Chesney, and Justin Timberlake and Journey, Def Leppard, Springsteen on Broadway. A lot of those could only be called geezer acts because they're for old folks. Although I'm sure there might be some young people that actually go to see them. Most of those are for people over 35 at the minimum. So, but nevertheless, those make a lot of money every single year. If you keep looking down the list, you'll see a lot of very familiar names. And in fact, I don't even see an unfamiliar name until you get way, way on down the list. Because all the people you know are the ones that are making the money. Jay-Z out on his own averaged 50th. Even with Beyonce, he averaged second, and on his own, he averaged 50th. Pretty good, huh? So if we scroll on down, I only have the top 150 listed here, but you can see there's a lot of everything, of young and old. See Lionel Richie, Barry Manilow, Anita Baker, Van Morrison, Paul McCartney, Alabama. You can see, let's see, number 150 is Slayer. Right before that is the Steve Miller Band and Peter Frampton. So that's what the top 150 look like on the North American tour scene. Let's take a look at the worldwide tours. This is the 2018 Polestar year-end top 100 worldwide tours. And you can see that internationally, Ed Sheeran was number one with his gross in millions, $432 million. Pretty good. And Taylor Swift, along with Jay-Z and Beyonce, who were number 1 and 2 on the North American tours, came in number 2 and 3, internationally speaking. Of course, that just means that Ed Sheeran probably toured in 2018, probably spent the whole year touring overseas and not touring so much in the United States. Of course, overseas is a very large market, and people are really beginning to pay attention to that now. And we'll pay more attention to that too as we go along in the semester. If you always look over to the right, it has the agency. We're going to talk a lot about some of these agencies that you see listed here, most particularly Live Nation, CAA, WME, some of those big ones. So don't get too involved in that right now, but we will get into it a little bit later on. This chart right here is 2018 year-end top 200 concert grosses, not tours, but concerts. And you'll see that Taylor Swift is at the top of that list. A lot of different, all of her concerts were huge. They pulled in so much money, as did Jay-Z and Beyonce. They were huge concerts. What do you think when you're pulling in 9 or 10 million on a concert? How much of that do you think that the artist makes? Well, it's different in every setting, and we will talk about that a little bit later too, and what types of deals that the artist might be getting and contracts they might have signed for these particular types of events. One thing that you do notice consistently is that there are a lot of older acts. I call them geezer acts. I can say that. I am a geezer. But I call them older acts because, for the simple reason that, well, what do you think? Why do you think that some of the older acts, like, say, the Eagles and Jimmy Buffett and acts like that, can still bring in a large amount of money, almost as much as, say, Taylor Swift can, and they haven't been popular in 30 or 40 years? Why do you think that is? Another thing that I'm going to give you access to was the latest edition of Polestar magazine, and the reason for that is that every year Polestar has a conference. This year I think it was in Los Angeles, called Polestar Live, and there's always a lot of very interesting information that goes on. They have great guests, great seminars, interviews, speakers, presentations, all types of different things. And this particular version of Polestar is the one that talks a lot about that. Also, Polestar magazine, in addition to that, I'm going to pull it all the way down here, it does in fact have all of the charts that are current for this year. So you can find out how all of the acts are doing, and you can find some really interesting articles about venues, because there's so many really cool venues around the world that we don't ever get to see because, well, we live in Mississippi. But there's all sorts of different things here, and I'm going to put this in for you to peruse, and I think you'll enjoy it. Spend a little time with it and read some of the articles, and we may talk about it a little bit next week. Okay? Talk to you soon.